What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Saturday, September 16th, 2023, and I have some breaking news to share with you guys. So, apparently, Ramzan Kadyrov, the leader of Chechnya and close ally of Vladimir Putin, is in critical condition right now, and he's potentially even in a coma. And this is being reported by Ukraine's defense intelligence, and there's various sources inside of Russia and Chechnya that are saying that he's actually in a coma right now and that he may be going to the United Arab Emirates to receive treatment. And Ukraine's defense intelligence is citing numerous sources inside of Chechnya that have confirmed that he is in critical condition, possibly in a coma, and that he's been sick for a while. And it's related to some of his systemic health issues that have worsened. Okay, so maybe he has, diabetes, or maybe he has some kind of autoimmune issues or something. Maybe he has cancer, who knows? But apparently they've worsened and he's now in critical condition, possibly in a coma, and he's potentially going to be going to the United Arab Emirates to receive treatment. And this makes sense because if you guys notice, we haven't heard much from him in the past few weeks. He used to be very vocal. He was always on social media, constantly talking about the war in Ukraine, and he's been very quiet the last few weeks. So this is absolutely huge news, guys. Okay, I don't know if it's true that it's because of his systemic health issues or if maybe Vladimir Putin gave him the poison pill. Kadyrov's dad was actually a big enemy of Vladimir Putin. Kadyrov's dad wanted Chechnya to be its own country and not part of Russia. And what's interesting is Kadyrov basically did not take after his dad, and he became one of Putin's henchmen. But it's possible that Putin, being a little bit paranoid after the Prigozhin situation, decided to give Kadyrov the poison pill to basically eliminate any chances of Kadyrov creating some kind of rebellion or threatening Putin in some way, like Prigozhin. Maybe he had some intelligence that Kadyrov was planning something secretly. Who knows? Or maybe it's true that he just has a coma from systemic health issues. It's really hard to say, but I find this to be very, very interesting. And overnight last night, there were several long emergency action messages broadcasted. They were over 160 characters long. Normally, these emergency action messages are only 30 or 40 characters long. So, anytime there's like a long emergency action message, it usually means that something is going on behind the scenes. What that is, I have no idea, but an emergency action message is a nuclear attack option. So these are coded messages that are sent out to U.S. ballistic missile subs that are armed with nuclear warheads. Okay. So when you have a lot of these going out, it usually means something is going on. And the past few days and the past few weeks, we've seen so many of these emergency action messages. Why that is, I have no idea, but we've seen basically a record number of doomsday planes in the past month. Yesterday, I reported that for the first time ever, the USS Florida and Ohio class sub with 154 Tomahawk missiles arrived in Tromsø, Norway. Now, this is not the first time an Ohio class sub has arrived in Norway, but this is the first time an Ohio class sub with 154 Tomahawk missiles arrived in Norway. Okay. Ohio class subs are part of our nuclear triad, and there's two versions of them. One version is the one that carries our ICBMs, our ballistic missiles, and we have 14 of those, each with 20 Trident missiles. And then we have four that carry 154 Tomahawk missiles, which could be used conventionally or with nuclear warheads. The Tomahawk missile was originally built to carry nuclear warheads. Okay, each Tomahawk missile can carry the W-80 nuclear warhead, which has a blast yield of up to 150 kilotons, okay, which is at least 5 to 7 times more powerful than the Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombs, if not more than that. So each Ohio class sub can carry 154 of those. The Ohio class subs that are made to carry those, and there's 4 of those out of 18 of our Ohio class subs. And for the first time ever, a Tomahawk missile Ohio class sub arrived in Norway, and this comes just days after a B-2 landed in Norway for the first time ever. And also, this comes just days after Romania had 3 Russian drones crash on its territory. Okay, one of them 10 miles into Romania. And this also comes just 2 days after the breaking news about the near shoot down of a British manned reconnaissance plane in the Black Sea by Russian fighter pilots, fighter jets. Okay, so tensions are really escalating, guys. Okay, if you think back the last few weeks, all the major events going on, okay, all the doomsday planes every single day, nuclear bombers every single day, 3 B-2s in Iceland, 1 moved to Norway to do a ground refuel exercise, the Ohio class sub with the Tomahawk missiles in Norway, 3 Russian drones crashing in Romania, 2 Russian fighter jets nearly shooting down a manned British reconnaissance plane last September, and one of those jets actually launched a missile at that recon plane, and the missile had issues locking on. Okay, so they actually literally did launch. It was just by the grace of God that missile did not connect with that British recon plane, because it would have caused a nuclear war. And in my opinion, that's the closest we've ever come to nuclear war, much closer than the Cuban Missile Crisis, in my opinion. Okay, it's just by the grace of God that Russian air-to-air missile did not hit that British manned reconnaissance plane, which would have had up to 30 British service members on it. Okay, then we also have the RS-28 Sarmat that Russia deployed on combat duty 2 weeks ago. And then the U.S. tested a Minuteman III ICBM with 3 warheads on it. They're only supposed to have 1. Okay, so that's evidence that the U.S. is up-arming itself and rearming our Minuteman missiles after Putin pulled out of the New START treaty, okay, which limited 1 warhead per missile, or per Minuteman missile for our land-based missiles. Now we're going up to 3, which is what they originally had. So, the situation is really escalating, guys. Okay, please get prepared. And we also have some breaking news that Kim Jong-un, the leader of North Korea, is now interested in nuclear bombers. And he was looking at Russian nuclear bombers with Sergei Shoigu when they met in Russia the last few days. And apparently he's interested in bombers that can carry nuclear weapons, and also bombers that can carry the hypersonic Kinjal missiles. Okay, so the Kinjal missiles are nuclear capable. So Kim Jong-un is interested in nuclear bombers. Okay, and it makes sense because he has the submarines, he has the ballistic missiles, long and short range, but the only thing he's missing now is aircraft that are capable of delivering nuclear weapons. And that would basically form a very primitive, half-assed nuclear triad for North Korea. Okay, so here we have a picture of Sergei Shoigu and Kim Jong-un looking at some of these nuclear bombers. Okay, so it's very possible that Kim Jong-un may get some nuclear bombers from Russia and maybe a few Kinjal missiles, maybe some Iskanders. I mean, Russia gave Belarus Iskanders and Kinjal missiles. Why not give them to North Korea? Okay. And in return, North Korea is going to be giving Russia artillery, which Russia desperately needs. Okay, they're supposed to be giving them 122 and 155 millimeter artillery and also rockets for the Grad launchers. Okay, so this is huge news, guys. Okay, the Kings of the East prophecy is basically unfolding in front of our eyes here. Okay, the Bible says in the book of Revelation that Magog and the kings of the east are going to come together and attack Israel in the last days. So what we're seeing here is the foundation of that being laid. Okay, Kim Jong-un is definitely a king of the east. He has a massive military. He's got a large population, and he can use to build an army. And obviously, Russia is part of the Magog prophecy. Okay, so I'm not saying that we're in the tribulation or anything like that, and I'm not saying that they're going to do this anytime soon. I think World War III is going to happen first before that happens. Okay, but this is very, very concerning, guys. We also have some breaking news coming from Romania. A top Romanian general is saying that the Romanian military will start shooting down Russian drones that fly into Romania, and that they've already deployed 600 troops and several radars to the Danube Delta. And that's the area where those 3 Russian drones crashed. Okay, these are drones that have explosives on them, and they're suicide drones. They're Iranian Shahed drones. Okay, so when they crash, they detonate, and it's like basically like a missile going off. Okay, now Romania has already evacuated one town on the border of Ukraine. Okay, the town of Ploru has already been evacuated. All the residents have been relocated, and they've already set up bomb shelters in Romania along the border with Ukraine. They've also set up a no-fly zone near the border of Ukraine. They're banning any flights within 19 miles of the Ukrainian border below 4,000 feet. Okay, and now they're setting up radars and anti-air, and they've deployed 600 troops there. Okay, so this is huge news, guys. Okay, things are really escalating. I'm very concerned about the Black Sea region. Yesterday we had that B-52 that was doing loops along the Romanian Black Sea coast. So get prepared, okay? Get prepared, because we're seeing the buildup to World War III. And we also have some breaking news coming from Alexei Danilov. He's the head of Ukraine's National Security Council. And he said that the first Abrams tanks will arrive in Ukraine soon, and that more of them will be arriving than the U.S. previously promised. Okay, so they're going to get more than what the U.S. said, which I think was just they were going to get a few dozen of them, but he's saying they're going to get more. Okay, we also have some breaking news coming from Poland. Poland is now joining Finland and the Baltic countries in banning the entry of passenger cars with Russian license plates and registration. And this is going to go into effect starting tomorrow. So Poland, Finland, and the Baltic countries are all going to be banning Russian cars from entering their countries. Okay. And this is particularly interesting because the Baltic countries have a lot of Russians living there still. There is a sizable Russian minority in the Baltic countries. So this could give Vladimir Putin an excuse to attack the Baltics. So we'll have to wait and see how Russia responds to this. We also have some breaking news coming from the Russian Ministry of Defense. And they're claiming that on September 11th, the Russian Air Force destroyed 5 Ukrainian fighter jets in Kryvyi Rih at the Dolgin Sevo airfield. And apparently they destroyed 2 MiG-29s and 3 Sukhoi 25s. If that's true, that's a significant blow to Ukraine's Air Force. We don't know if that's true or not, but it is possible. We also have some breaking news coming from Russia. Apparently, in Siberia, some private security contractors have seized control of an oil field owned by the Dulisima Oil Company in Irkutsk, which is near Lake Baikal. That's in eastern Russia and Siberia. Okay, so that's pretty concerning. And this is what you would expect if Russia were to collapse, if there was like an economic collapse or some kind of a nuclear war. You would see certain regions of Russia break away and Russia would break apart, and you would have these warlords controlling various parts of Russia. So pretty interesting information there. And I want to just share some flight paths with you guys. So here we have Vladimir Putin's doomsday plane. This is a Tupolev 214 PU SBUS, and it took off from Vladivostok last night, and it landed in Moscow today. And this was his doomsday plane that was moved there for the meeting with Kim Jong-un. And here's some more of Putin's doomsday planes here. Some of these are airborne communications relay planes for communicating with Russian nuclear forces. And here we have a U.S. sub-hunter plane patrolling the Polish Baltic coast near the Russian exclave of Kaliningrad. This was overnight last night. This is a P-8 Poseidon. It took off from Scotland, and you can see it was monitoring Kaliningrad very heavily here. Look at this, guys. Look at all these loops here. And they've been monitoring this area basically 24 hours a day. They've been sending out 2 P-8s every day, 12-hour shifts, basically maintaining constant surveillance of this area. And this is a critical port for NATO, because here you have the port of Gdynia in Poland, which allows NATO to move equipment to Ukraine. And also, if there was a war in the Baltics, NATO could send equipment through Gdynia to reinforce the Suwalki Gap and the Baltic countries. So obviously they want to make sure that there's no Russian submarines in this area. So this is pretty interesting. They've really stepped up surveillance of this area in the last week and a half or so. And we also had a lot of NATO reconnaissance in northeastern Poland last night. Here we have a Swedish reconnaissance plane and a Polish reconnaissance plane, and they were both patrolling the northeastern part of Poland along the border with Belarus and Russia. So very, very interesting. And here we have a CIA reconnaissance plane that was flying off the coast of Caracas, Venezuela, which is very interesting. Not sure what it was doing there. And finally, I just want to shout out some channels that have helped me out a lot. These are people that are friends of mine. We have Revenge of Duramax. Check out his YouTube channel. He does 24-hour live coverage of emergency action messages, flight paths, and Ukraine breaking news and breaking news from around the world. So check him out. He does a live stream. It's on all the time. It's on right now. And he's a friend of mine, and he's helped me out a lot. Great guy. And I also want to shout out another friend of mine, Paul from Off Grid Desert Farming, and he's back on YouTube now. Here's his channel. If you guys remember, he had a very large following on YouTube, and then they took him down, and now he's back up. So he's got 6.5 thousand subscribers. So, 6,500 subscribers. Check him out. And some of you guys may or may not know that he's actually a musician and he has a lot of good Christian rock songs. So I'm going to leave a link to where you can purchase some of his songs if you're interested. He's very talented, and I think he would definitely appreciate some support. So check him out. I'm going to leave a link to where you can buy these songs and check out his YouTube. He's posting there regularly. And that's pretty much it for this one, guys. I'm going to continue to monitor all these events around the world and keep you updated. Make sure you hit the bell notification so you're notified when I upload. I'm trying to do at least one update per day, possibly two per day, depending on how much news there is. But I try to do at least one update a day. So hit the bell notification so you can get notified. So take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere.